Good morning. Good morning, everyone. It's your girl, Tanisha Shanae, Miss Inspiration, here with another episode of Morning Inspiration with Friends. Hope you all have an amazing Tuesday morning thus far. Hope you have a great day. No matter what day of the week you are listening or what time of the day you are watching this, just want you to know that I hope you have a great day today. So, this message that I have today really resonated with me. Sorry, my dog is making noise. This message was dropped in my spirit. I actually posted this on social media. It was last week sometime, but I kept hearing, take a leap, take a leap, take a leap. It's time to take a leap. That's all that I kept hearing last week. I'm actually gonna find the actual post because I want us to realize like a lot of times we'll get these very important messages, but we don't realize that we have these important messages that we need to take and take heed to. And so often we just like keep going, like, oh yeah, it's just something that I'm hearing. No, this is not just something that you're hearing. So this was 4 days ago. Take the leap. You won't know until you go. Take the leap. You won't know until you go. And that's actually something that I wish more people really understood, right? We sit back and we sit with the what ifs. Like, what if this is happening? What if that's happening? Nothing is happening, right? So that's the reality. If you're sitting in the what ifs, already nothing is happening. So if you are sitting around, you're creating these narratives. Hey, good morning, Paula. If you're sitting around creating all these narratives about things that have not happened, they might not even happen, but you have created this narrative. And so that's why I wanted to talk to us about that today, because we all have something out here that we can do, that we are like sitting on the sidelines and someone has possibly told you before, no, take the leap, like take the leap, do it. Right. And I mean, it could be anything. It could be something small. It could be something big as moving out the country, something as making a phone call, opening up lines of communication with someone. It's so many different things that taking a leap can be. So, whatever that means for you, I just want you to hold on to that, because it's time that we really start going after what we really want, right? We are so conditioned to go after things that other people want for us. Other people have told us that are good for us. I remember growing up, everyone was like, "Oh, you should be a lawyer." I had no desire to be a lawyer. Oh, because you're great at arguing and debating. That's great. But we can argue and we can debate without someone being a lawyer, right? It is a great skill, but we have to also look at a lot of those skills can go into other areas and other industries and job titles. It's not always just like a one size fit all. And again, because I have evolved, because I have learned and understood that God has given us so many gifts. And when we really sit down, we can see how all of these gifts can play in so many different industries, but so many people won't go out of the box and do that. They won't take that leap because it's like, well, no, everyone's saying I should do this. That's great. We want you to do that. But I also want you to take that leap after what you really want, right? The one thing that's like burning on the inside, that's like hitting you, waking you up at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, things that you just continue to always think about, take that leap, right? So I want to share three things. I'm trying to give y'all like three little pointers that y'all can utilize as you are taking your time and navigating this journey, because it's a very important journey. So the first thing is, and you've heard me talk about this so often, there is no perfect timing, right? Perfect timing is a myth, right? And what the reality is that there's rarely ever a time that there is a perfect time, right? Or that there is a right time. All we know is that we have to be okay with that, right? So again, a person like myself, I naturally, in my natural core, have been the person that always wanted things to be perfect. It had to like A to Z, no in betweens, nothing missing. And I know that I have missed out on opportunities, right? because I continue to delay and prolong me actually taking a step or taking an action because I'm waiting for the right moment or the right time. Let me tell you something about that. That is going to cost you a lot. Waiting costs us a lot, whether it's going to be time, it could be money sometimes as well. It could be our energy because you're putting more because now you're taking action at the wrong time. So now you have to put forth more effort. But if God is telling you to do something and you do it exactly the time that he tells you to do it, it will probably, because I can't guarantee it's going to be 100%, but you will probably have less friction. You will probably be less tired, and it's not going to cost you as much because you're doing it when you're supposed to do it versus going out there waiting for the perfect time. Scrap the perfect time mindset. Let that go. Let it die. Remind yourself, I keep hearing this. I know God is telling me this. I'm going to stand firm in this because I do believe this is what I'm supposed to be doing. That is all that I want y'all to do. That is all because we are supposed to do amazing things. And I'm telling you, when you take that leap, there is the amazing things that's going to meet you there. When you take that leap, amazing things are going to meet you there. So you are not doing it wrong. You are just really continuously believing that there is a perfect time and you're making yourself believe that is what's stopping you from being successful or from going after that. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that we have to be obedient, right? So again, as I always make reference, if you go to my Facebook page, my banner is pray, listen, obey. There is so much power in that listening and obeying part, right? Because praying is you having that conversation with God. You're opening up the door, you're telling God what it is that you want. But listening and obeying, there's power in those two, right? There's going to be power in your obedience, and there's going to be power in your actions, right? The faith without works is dead. We heard that so many times. And what that really means is that we need to move with fear, not after it disappears, right? So I don't want you to have this fear, or I don't want you to lose your faith, but I also want you to go out there and I want you to do the work, right? Especially the work that God is telling you to do. That's the problem that a lot of us have. We'll do work because we'll do work in the sense of how we define work, but you have to do the work the way that God is telling you to do it. You have to do it the way God is telling you to do it. Do you know how many times in my dry season, 2016 to 2017, there was a lot of work that I had to do that no one understood that I was doing. Me coming live was a form of work. Me coming alive and releasing the God inspired messages that God had me, that was placing on my heart back in them days, literally, that was my work, right? And I had my problems. I had my financial struggles. And the one thing that I'm thankful for is that I never came online and I never told people my problems. I didn't sit and I didn't cry. I didn't beg. I just did the work as God told me to do the work. And I had to have enough faith that if I do the work as you are telling me to do it, that you're going to provide for me and that you're going to do everything that you're telling me that you're going to do, Lord. And I literally can tell you, I received based off of that work, based off of that obedience, based off of the things that people would say to me, Tanisha, that doesn't quite make sense. Well, why would God have you do that when you can just go do this? Because there's some of us that have to go through a journey in order for us to build that relationship, in order for us to hear God purposefully, we have to go through that walk. Right? I didn't want to talk about this, so I'm just going to add this real quick because I've been hearing it all weekend. I don't know if you heard about the B. Simone situation, the most recent podcast that she had with one of her most recent friends. And one of the friends was saying how she sat back and she was going through everything. She was about to lose her home. She was getting repoed, like literally was drowning. And B. Simone was helping her other people, like cutting them checks, blessing them. And she said, she saw that and she did feel some type of way, but she also understood. This is the part that a lot of people, especially if you don't have a walk with God, this is why I'm not 100% upset, because what this young lady said after that made more sense. And this is more in alignment. She said, I had to go through this walk with God. I had to allow God to be my provider. That is what a lot of people don't understand. Because that, trust me, when I was going through my dry season, you think there was some people in my life that I knew I can call. But guess what? God had me to go through this because I had to learn his voice. And a part of learning his voice is how to that's also going to help us in growing in our obedience. Right? So it's going to sometimes be that real dark season that you wish somebody would just come in and save you. But God is like, no, I'm bringing you through this because you have not learned to hear me yet. And I want to take you through this journey so that you can hear me. So that when I give you a command, you already know it's me. And that's something that I appreciate with my walk with God, right? No one else understood. And that's another thing. Sometimes people cannot help you because they don't understand what's going on. Like some people are super logical or they want all of these reasonings or why isn't this and this? And God is just like, look, if you just follow me, you ain't got to worry about none of that. You ain't have to explain yourself to anyone. When I got to that comfortable space with God, I stopped explaining myself. God told me, and I will put it like that. God told me to do this, and that was it. That was the end of the conversation, right? Because at the end of the day, when they turned around, because I had people calling me stupid, I had people telling me that I was foolish. Oh, why would you listen to God if he's taking you through this? And guess what? Guess what they learned? They learned through my journey. Like, wow, you was really faithful and God was really true to his word to you because I didn't see it. And that's okay. That's why it's not a conference call. Okay. So we have so many, just going back to the different biblical examples, you can definitely go through, you can look at Esther's story and you can also look at Abraham's story as well for just that obedience and just understanding like, where is God taking me? And if I follow what he's telling me to do, is it going to really work out? Like, don't doubt it. If God is telling you to do something, don't doubt it. Just know that it's going to work out. And I'll even give you a bonus. When things are not working right and God is telling you to do something, don't sit and harbor on your issues. If you heard me say before, God never had me on in 2016 come online and tell people, oh my gosh, my mortgage, I can't pay it, I can't pay my maintenance, none of that. I posted something over the weekend. It was sarcasm, but I posted it because I think so often what people tend to do is that they forget, like, we're all going through something, but it's not always in the form of, let me come and just tell everybody my problems. Sometimes you just need to go talk to God or you need to go talk to the company. It's not social media's business. So that was what God had me to do. I didn't come to social media to tell them what was going on with Tanisha's life and how I couldn't pay my mortgage. They didn't know that. But guess what they did get? They got the inspire message. They got the messages that God was downloaded and that was blessing them and that was opening up doors for them. Even though doors was opening up, you know how sad it was? And sometimes I used to get mad with God in the beginning because he would have me put out these amazing messages and people are tuning in and they're like, oh my gosh, and I was so blessed with this. And they'll come back to me like a few days later, the message that you put out that day, and they're telling me what happened and how whatever the message was, they followed and listened, and it worked out for them, and God turned it around. And they got a check for this, and I'm just sitting here like this. Oh Lord, you really gonna bless them? And I'm sitting here, I'm struggling. But when I say he showed up and he showed out for me at the right time. So I could never be upset with that. That's why I just love to just do what God is telling me to do, because you just never know how he's going to bless you at the end. And you just got to do it with a pure heart. And that's the reason why I show up every single day, Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Central, because I understand that God is going to do whatever and so abundantly in my life that I don't even focus on the what ifs. Right? I can't focus on all of that. I want you to be blessed. I want you to have these great relationships with God so that you can hear from yourself. So that if I sit here and say something, you'd be like, Lord, did you tell her to say that? Like, and he would sit here and tell you yes or no. I've been in those situations. So let's move on. Last thing, because we are at almost 15 minutes. So the last thing that I really want you is that you have to start with what you have. You have to start with what you have. That is what taking a leap is going to do for you. You have to start. You may not have it all right now. You may not even have all the answers. You may not have all the resources. But what I will say is that if you have something already, take that and then take the next step. You might not have all of the answers. You may not have all of the resources, but I want you to pick up what you do have and I want you to take the next step, especially if God is giving you the answers, if he's telling you what to do. Take that information and take that next step. And again, the more that you take those steps, he's going to give you more information. He's going to give you more insight. It's just like when you I don't know if it was a commercial or it was a movie, but I remember seeing something where like they was walking into a cave, and as they kept taking a step, another light came on. So when they first started, it was pitch black. But the more that they took a step, a little light came on. And so they was able to now see, and now it started to make sense. And now when they got to the other end and they turned around, there was all this light. But when they first started, there was no light. So they had to take what they had in order for them to see the beauty or to see the end results. So you have to look at this the same way I remember telling people about setting their goals, right? We have this big goal. I have this big goal, but you have to start breaking up into small little pieces. The same thing, right? This leap is going to be huge, but you got to take little small leaps, take little small steps that's going to help you to get to the big picture, right? I knew since 2014 that I wanted to move. I didn't want to live in New York full time. I knew that in my heart. I knew that that was not a place for me to be. And although I kept taking delays because I kept on being afraid, when 2022 came along and I said to myself, God, I want to start adventuring and living in other spaces for at least a month so I can kind of get a feel, because you can go somewhere and visit for a weekend or a week and you're not going to really get a feel. But if you stay there for a month, you will really get a tap into that community, what's going on. You start to learn in the supermarkets, where to go food shopping. You might even start meeting some locals. A lot can happen in 4 weeks. So when I did that in 2022, when I went to Myrtle Beach, I put myself in a situation. Look, God, I would love to live on a beach. I mean, let me experience this. Maybe this could be the life for me. I probably can do that, just not in Myrtle Beach. But it was still the experience. It was still a step that got me closer. Because remember, if you've been following me for a while, 2016 to 2018, I couldn't drive my car because I couldn't afford car insurance. When I got back on the road, I was afraid to get on the highways. So me taking that trip, yes, it was for me to experience living, but the real step in that was I had to get back on the highway, because anywhere outside of New York City, it's highway. You have to go highways, so I had to take that step. And so that was 2022. And what happened in 2023? Tulsa, right? Tulsa Remote comes along. I apply for this program. Literally, we are talking, I think today would have been the day that I received the official thumbs up, you're accepted into the program, was a month ago, which was 2 years ago. And that happened in 2023. And then I had to drive from New York City to Tulsa. That's 1,000, I think it was 1,318 miles, something like that I drove from New York City to Tulsa. If I didn't take that leap in 2022, I would not have been prepared. I would have been full of fear. I probably would have been still stuck in New York, or I would have been paying over $1,000 to have them ship my car. And that's not something that I want to do. So I could have done it, but I didn't want to do it. So I had to take that leap. So sometimes, again, we don't realize the different leaps that God is having us to take in previous years is preparing you for the journey that's coming next. And so you have to just see that and understand. Don't try to make sense of it. Don't try to make it super logical. Just know that, okay, God, I know what I want. I know what you're telling me that I should want. And I know what's one of the blockage. So I'm going to listen and take the steps that you're telling me to take, so that when that real moment comes, I'm not going to be afraid, right? When I got that phone call that the person who was supposed to drive with me to Tulsa from New York could no longer do it, and when I got the quotes from the shipping companies to ship my car, guess what? There was no fear. I was just like, I don't want to do the drive, but guess what? We got to make this drive. I'm just going to have to pack up this car and I'm just going to have to go. I'm not paying $1,000, and I'm not going to sit around and wait when I had a whole house here waiting for me. Absolutely not. So I had to take that. And when I took that step, there was no more fear. I took that drive with no problems. Got in my car 4:00 in the morning, and I was in Tulsa by the next night. So you have to realize, yes, take those leaps. Those leaps are going to seem scary. You're probably like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. Don't doubt yourself. Don't doubt yourself, right? Don't sit in the what ifs and don't take any steps. That's the worst thing to do. and don't listen to other people, or don't share with other people what God has told you to do, because a lot of people are not going to understand. And I'm telling you this as a person that since 2014, when I started really walking with God and taking those hard steps, right? Because see, when I met God and God started to work with me on my work, right? Hold on, Paul. When I started working with God on my weight loss journey in 2012, that was a different level of walking. It was an intense walk, but when I say to you, when not that 2014, and he started taking me off the course of path that I had planned for myself and that other people were seeing for me, and he was like, "No, I'm shifting you over here." Oh, that made it so. That was just like, wait, what's really going on? Paula said this. She said, "Every leap springs us forward." Absolutely, absolutely. So we have to do the. We have to just do the work. You have to. Whatever that leap is, I'm here to encourage you. Take it. Make the phone call, send the email, apply for the job, apply for the mortgage, apply for the apartment, apply for the grant. There's so many different things that's just like coming into my spirit right now. Apply for it and do it. That's all that you can do, especially if God is telling you to do it. If he's telling you, if you're getting a firm instructions from God, and this is just confirmation, go forth and do it. You can't, one thing I'm gonna tell y'all, you can't lose when God is with you. You can't. The only time we lose is when we don't do it the way God told us to do it. Tell me I'm lying. Because he has all the answers. So if he has all the answers and he knows the ends and he's telling you what to do, the only way you won't be successful is if you don't do it exactly. What did I say to y'all last week? As a professor, as an educator, the one thing that irritates my soul with my students is if I give them an assignment and I will put, right? So in one of the classes that I used to teach was Microsoft Office. So we teach them how to integrate Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Excel, and Outlook all together, and sometimes Access, depending on the school I was teaching at. And so one of the assignments that we typically would give them was like, you had to follow these instructions to create a new document, right? And I will put in bold letters at the top of the page, do not skip any steps. Because if you are skipping steps, the document, because I would give them, this is what your image, your document should look like. So they're going to see a picture of what the document should look like. If you follow these steps, this is what your document will look like. And they would give me something that looked nothing like it. Or I would see the frustration in their face, and they're like, Professor, it's not working. Did you follow every step? And did you do it in the order that I gave it? If you did not, then you cannot be upset and say, well, Professor Williams, you didn't teach me properly. Or Professor Williams, I'm just stupid. I can't do it. No, you need to follow the steps and do it exactly the way that I told you to do it so that you can get the same result. That's the same thing with God. The only time that I have ever failed was when I did not do it God's way. When I decided, you know what, I'm gonna just do it this way. Do you know I probably would not have had the experience that I had in Tulsa, because at first, when I first started looking at, coming out here, I applied for a mortgage. That mortgage company said no. This was before I came out here for the visit in August. So I was like, fine, I can't get them. I can't buy a house, with that mindset, because I totally forgot about the other information that I did know. So I was like, all right, fine, let's let it be. And I started looking at apartments. And when I was leaving Tulsa in August, as we were taking off, I heard God said, you're buying a house. Again, I done got denied for a mortgage. So I don't know how. And that was the one time that I said, Lord, this is going to have to be a you moment. Like, because I already got denied. Like, how is this going to happen? And literally came back. He told me what to do. And I did it. And I did it. And I took that step and did it. And I took the next step and did it. And next thing you know, Tanisha had a house. And I'm just like, wow. And so again, sometimes we don't do it because we're allowing what the reality looks like. right? One company said no, and I always give credit to MG, the mortgage guy, for this, because he always has said, if one mortgage company says no, another one will say yes. You know what? He was right. One said no, and the next one said absolutely, we would give you a mortgage. And guess what? That's all that I asked for, right? So I want you to take that leap. Take the leap. Take the leap. Take the leap. Take the leap. You know, share this message with someone who needs to go out there and take a leap, because someone out there is sitting back. They're sitting on their hands, and they keep hearing the same thing, and God is literally telling them, and they're not taking steps. Take the step, right? It is time for you to go after what you really want, because you deserve it. Why wouldn't you want to go after what you really want? You deserve that. We deserve these great things. So I want you to go forth. I want you to go forth, and I want you to go after it. Sorry, y'all. I know I'm up here talking. And so the one last thing I want to share, as always, I'm here every Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Eastern. If you want to connect with me, go to my link tree. It's not in the description, but go to my Linktree /Tanisha Shanae, to learn about my books, to learn about my community, my courses, and my blog. And remember I said yesterday about the fast? Yeah, we're going to have to do a fast. Literally, last night, went to an event, and another person. And it I might have to end up doing two, though, because I have to do one for my singles, my single ladies out there who are unmarried. Because that's something that's been really pushing. That other person I met last night, that was the person who confirmed it. But then I think we need to do a general fast for just people who just need to do a fast for clarity on next steps. So it'll probably end up being two. So I'm sorting that out with God. But like I said, last night, I was like, Dak, I literally just said on my live that we're going to, God was calling the fast, and I'm trying to figure out. And then that person just confirmed it, signed, sealed, delivered. And it was just like, she was like, yeah, please let me know. And I'm like, so I'm excited, because again, when God uses me and he uses these opportunities for us to come together to grow in him, to grow so that we can get this clarity, we can get these answers, and we can start doing the right things that we need to start doing. So I'm just here to just be that facilitator, as always. But yeah, so join back here tomorrow morning, okay? And we'll have another great message as well. Be great today. Sit in that quiet space and ask God, what should you be taking a leap on? What should you be taking next steps on? And I pray that you take those steps. That's all that I pray for. Because I want you to receive everything that's meant for you. Everything that you are not vocalizing to other people and you're holding on to it secretly. I want those prayers to come forth for you. And that's a big thing to ask, because I'm praying for something that you haven't even vocalized to others. But that's the one thing that I love about God, right? So I know what those leaps can do. Those leaps can open up so much more than what we are seeing on the surface level. But I am your girl, Tanisha Shanae, Miss Inspiration. Go ahead, connect with me on all of my other social media, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. And if you are not following me on YouTube, go ahead, because as always, these videos will stay on YouTube, but Facebook is starting to delete our lives every 30 days. So I am your girl. Have a good one. Be well, be blessed, and I love you all. Have a good one.